Hello, everybody. Welcome to Squawk, where we break down all things related to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm with my co-host Chad. Chad, how are you doing today, sir?
How's it going, Ben? I'm doing good, brother. Ready to
Doing
talk
great
some
too.
football, Ravens. It's game day. Purple Saturday.
So before it is game day today, we're recording this on a Saturday, so it's going to be an interesting crunch when I get these videos out. But before we talk about today's game, let's talk about a game that happened last Sunday. You made the prediction that the streak would end and that Trace McSorley would just dominate and end the streak and cut the head off the snake. But turns out the streak continues. The streak is alive. The Ravens win 24-17 in a game, by the way, that's the furthest west we're ever going to travel for the entire year. Marquise Brown came out earlier in the week and he said that the reason that he wanted to leave the Ravens was because he felt like the Ravens could win without him. And I guess that was right because he didn't play for us against his current team that he's on right now. And we came out with a dub. Trace McSorley was awful. I thought so. My prediction was he was going to score a touchdown on one of the drives, and it didn't happen until like the fourth quarter. He ended up playing the whole game. If he had been taken out for somebody else, like that fourth rounder that they had that threw the touchdown in the back of the end zone, I would have missed on that one too. But he ended up staying in for a really long time, and he got a rushing touchdown after failing to get the one beforehand with a great defensive stop from the Ravens. There, he pulled up just short.
Yep.
Um, so I want to go into a few things on this game on the Ravens side. Everyone's talking about it. It's the elephant in the room. Isaiah Likely is for real, bro. 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Him and Tyler Huntley were just like, they were in simpatico. And they
Yep.
had all different kinds of routes. Zone coverage, he was beating. The most important thing was he was beating man coverage. He had a catch. He threw it short. He pulls off to the right, makes the grab, shakes the defender, and then goes for like 40 yards up the field to inside the 10. That was man coverage,
Yeah.
which is something that for the past couple of years, the Ravens receivers have not been very successful against. Usually it's zone. They find a soft spot in the defense and they make a catch there. And that's been the Ravens' bread and butter for the past 2 days. He was doing that, and he was beating guys in zone or in man coverage. Excuse me. Like I can't tell you how important that is for this team that really has struggled to do that the past couple of years, which is why Lamar's passing ability has been kind of put into question. The other half of that is our receivers haven't been able to get open at man coverage. And Isaiah Likely was doing it all on Sunday, dude. He was unbelievable, man. He was really, really good. They were running more inside routes with him too, because Charlie Kolar was hurt. And I think when I was watching tape from those two guys in college, it seemed like Charlie Kolar more of an inside pickup, 5 or 6 yards inside the hash kind of tight end. And Isaiah Likely was actually playing outside on a lot of routes.
Mhm.
But he was doing everything on Sunday. He looked awesome, dude. And he made Tyler Huntley look good. Tyler Huntley ended up going 13 to 14, 129 yards and the touchdown, which was an awesome grab, by the way. He was in between like four different defenders, got hit, hung onto the ball, still was able to make the catch in the end zone. So that was really great. Another one too, Josh Ross on defense. Interesting that our defensive coordinator was from Michigan last year. They picked this guy up. He's a rookie, so he's kind of used to the system that Mike McDonald's put into place and is known for. But he looked like Ray Lewis. The way he walked, like after he would make a tackle, he would sort of like strut around.
Yeah.
He looks like Ray Lewis in his pads. I think they're very similarly built too.
Oh,
Um, I don't want to put that out there though. That's a lot of pressure to put on a dude I didn't even know about 2 weeks ago. So I'm not going to do that. He looked like him though. It was very reminiscent. I was like, huh, that's interesting. I liked his swagger on the field. Tyler Beatty had a touchdown catch. He looked awesome. Anthony Brown looked good. He threw a bad pick, but that throw to Raleigh Webb where he catches it and it's on a rope, dude, right over the defender. Raleigh Webb catches it, shakes off the defender, goes for the touchdown. It was awesome. All of it. Pepe Williams had an interception, missed one last week. He got that back. solid outing for the Ravens again. What were some of the things that stood out for you in this game? Did I miss anything?
Brandon Stevens showed really good coverage against Andy Isabella. Andy Isabella is like 4-3 guy. And he had one holding. I mean, Andy's caught a couple of passes on him, but I was pretty impressed with his ability to stick with him, especially he was playing outside corner on him a lot. So that was impressive. The pass interference call they called on him was kind of tic tacky. It was he got a hand on him, but it wasn't like too crazy. But I was impressed by that because he is in the position to potentially be our slot corner guy, after having a lot of safety experience last year because of all the injuries. But, with Kyle Hamilton, Chuck Clark, Tony Jefferson, Geno Stone, I don't think Brandon Stevens is, on the safety in the safety room. So that was nice to see. Kyle Fuller got an interception. That was good to see. Granted, it was against a backup. Trace McSorley was not looking too precise, but it was still good to see. Kyle Fuller, he's obviously going to be fighting for a similar role that Brandon Stevens is going to be fighting for. Yeah, Isaiah Likely, quarter and a half, 100 yards, 8 catches, touchdown. It's good to see, man. Because we've been talking. Obviously, we repeat beating the cat with a dead stick, but having another large body outside of Mark Andrews that can catch the ball and make plays for us is what we've been lacking. And obviously, Isaiah Likely can fill that role. Historically, rookie tight ends don't normally have really good rookie seasons. You know, Kyle Pitts broke that mold last year. He had like 1,000 yards. And there's a few other people, but I'm like on that. I mean, at this point for me, I'm just like he's a definite start. He's going to be playing a lot in this offense. It looks obvious to me. They're feeding him the ball constantly. He's catching play. He's doing the same thing in practice that he's doing in these preseason games. I don't see how you don't fit him into the rotation on the first team offense and making plays for you. So I'm looking at it like, is he going to be breaking some rookie tight end records with us? I'm excited to see what his potential is in our offense. What else? Yeah, our QBs, man, our backup QBs, Tyler Huntley. He's playing. I mean, dude, I can name 5 teams that could be using him right now.
Yeah.
See, a team played last night that, the Geno Smith versus Drew Lock QB battle, which is over now. They announced Geno Smith after last night's game where Drew Lock looked like dog poop. But Tyler Huntley could easily be the starter on that team. Washington Commanders over Carson Wentz, I wouldn't be surprised if he could be the starter there. There's just a countless amount. I mean, the Saints, maybe he could push Jameson Winston for a starting position. Falcons, that Desmond Ridder might be a good pick, but you got Marcus Mariota. So the fact that we got a starting caliber backup that fits our offensive mold is huge, and he's playing lights out. What did he have? What does he have? 3 incompletions in 2 games or something?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And even was it Josh Brown? What is his?
Anthony Brown.
Anthony Brown.
Yeah.
He's playing well too. He had a bad pick in this game against the Cardinals, but other than that, he's playing real well too. Very efficient, not many missed opportunities. Like that's what you'd like to see. So I'm really excited about our backup quarterbacks, our backups all around. That's the beauty of this winning streak, is that it proves that our coaching staff can coach up players and draft internally and coach up these young people to be prepared to win in the NFL. So that's awesome. What else? You went through a lot of the Tyler Beatty. Yeah, he looked good. If he was a little bit bigger, I would say maybe he would push Mike Davis out of that 3rd spot behind J.K. and Gus. But with Gus, we're finding out that Gus is on the PUP list and he's definitely going to miss the first 4 weeks.
Yeah,
that seems like a guaranteed roster spot for Mike Davis just because he's a bigger body. I'm sure his pass protection is pretty good. I don't know where Tyler Beatty is there in his pass protection, so I guess, but maybe an interesting battle would be Justice Hill or Tyler Beatty.
So that's what
Justice,
I was going to talk to you about.
yeah,
So do you? I listen. I've seen enough out of Justice Hill, man. I've seen enough.
yeah,
I don't know. I think at this point, if you wanted to open up a roster spot, it's hard though because Justice Hill knows the system. But you couldn't tell on Sunday. Tyler Beatty had that drive with Anthony Brown. He ends up finishing it with a receiving touchdown. That whole drive, he looked pretty solid. He was getting a lot of yards. He was getting in between the tackles. Like, I don't know. I've seen enough out of Justice Hill. I
yeah,
would be surprised if he made this roster.
yeah. Me too. Yeah, I think Beatty gets the nod over Justice Hill. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of them tonight. But I mean, it's not that Justice Hill is bad. It's just it's his third or fourth year with us. He's had a couple injury issues. He hasn't been able to get on the field. I mean, he's behind Gus Edwards, and then we drafted J.K. So J.K. jumped up there with Gus Edwards, and we had Mark Ingram. So he's just been buried in the depth chart. He's not a bad player. He's quick. He just hasn't got the opportunities. Maybe he'll get it somewhere. Yeah, I don't see the Ravens picking Justice Hill over Tyler Beatty, who they just picked up in the sixth round this year. And uh, Justice Hill is coming off a Achilles tear, I believe. So, I don't think he'll make the team. Hopefully, he gets a shot somewhere else because I think he can, make an impact somewhere potentially if he gets the opportunity.
Tuesday is the day where rosters have to be finalized.
Okay.
So we're going to see a lot more cuts definitely after today. And Sunday and Monday, we're probably going to get some more waivers for guys that are taken off. We definitely are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. This was the Cardinals started coming back there towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
The score is kind of deceptive. Like it says that we lost or we won by a touchdown, but really, I mean, the score at one point was 24-3, and then the Cardinals started. They got a couple touchdowns going. They got some juice with Kyler Murray calling the plays. They made that distinction in the broadcast booth. He basically took over play calling, and they ended up getting 2 touchdowns out of it. So that's kind of interesting with third and fourth string quarterbacks too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does Cliff Kingsbury have to worry about his job down there in the desert? They could just
sounds like he just needs to shut up on the sideline and let Kyler do the work.
Maybe Cliff Kingsbury's playing too many video games. Maybe he's playing too many video games, and that's why they need to put a clause in his contract that says, "Hey, you need to be drawing up better plays instead of playing on Madden."
Right.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Yep. It was funny. It was funny to see. How about them chains?
I was going to talk about this with Lamar and his contract.
Lamar and Mark Andrews had some bling on the sideline, man, looking fly.
So I was going to talk about that with contract negotiations. Do you think that you buy a gigantic Baltimore, Maryland logo chain if you're having doubts about your team? How much do you think that thing looked like the fucking ball at Times Square that drops? Yeah. It was crazy.
The Lamar is a Baltimore Raven for life. We're gonna get a contract done. It is, yeah. He was wearing a big ass Baltimore shield charm in the preseason game. That doesn't look like a. I mean, contrast that with Kyle Murray on the other side of the field. What he did this offseason in his contract negotiation. Deleted everything Cardinals off his social media, all kinds of other stuff. Lamar is not your typical guy. We've talked about this 100 times. He is worried about winning. Short term, long term, winning. Seems like he's in the mindset the money situation will figure itself out. He's got his Oakley contract. He has his. I just saw a commercial with
Kevin Hart.
With Kevin Hart. Him. Who else was on there?
It was him,
Zeke.
Ezekiel Elliott, and then the other guy. Who was the other guy? Lamar, Ezekiel
Guy.
Elliott. Ah, shoot. I'm drawing a blank on who the other guy was. Diggs, right? Trayvon Diggs from the Cowboys, I think.
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't know. If you know, leave it in the comment section below.
Yeah,
I can't remember who the
I
third guy
can't
was.
remember who it is either.
Damn. But it was
But
good. I liked it. He was funny in it.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, he's getting money outside of football.
His restaurant in Florida.
He has a restaurant.
Yeah, he opened in the off season. He opened up a restaurant down there in Florida, and so he's making income off of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's got his hands in a bunch of different business ventures, and it showed with the chains that he had on. The other chain he gave to Mark Andrews.
Yeah, with his wild his new era 8 wild dog on his charm. Big old wild dog.
Dude, it was unbelievable when he was doing that sideline interview, and
Mm-hmm.
that thing was just on there. I was like, they have to talk about it. That thing is ostentatious. Like
Yeah.
that thing is fucking ridiculous, bro. And you don't get a Baltimore Shield multi-million-dollar chain if you're worried about getting a contract from a team, right? Like that's just, I mean, I'm sure he's got it insured or whatever, but it's signaling, right? He knows that the cameras are going to be on him during the game, even if he's on the sideline. It's signaling. I think it's a good sign. I think
Yeah.
that I know that there were rumors floating around that the number that the Ravens gave him, the newest number, was more than the Kyler Murray contract.
Mhm.
And he turned it down. So I don't know. But I think that they're going to reach that number. I don't foresee Baltimore, who, like, frankly, Lamar Jackson is the big reason why Baltimore is in the news a lot of the time, right? It's the reason why these daily talk shows are constantly talking about him and his status update on his contract. Like, I think it's a big deal, and I think they like the attention. They like being on the mainstream side of things, the way teams like the Cowboys are, the Patriots are. That's another good example. And some of these other teams that float around the news cycle all the time. So it's good for Baltimore for him to stay. And look, let's say they don't get a contract done, and the absolute worst case nuclear scenario happens. I've seen enough out of Tyler Huntley, and I've seen enough out of Anthony Brown in the preseason where you can at least say those guys are ready to go and they're ready to be put into an offense. Like whether they'll have the same results, I don't know. I mean, we saw last year with Tyler Huntley the losing streak that happened once Lamar went out. But at the same time, it's like Tyler Huntley was thrown into a situation where he wasn't 100% prepared to take it over necessarily. His first real starts in the NFL. Now that he's got the jitters out, he knows game speed. He's looked awesome this preseason. Awesome. Balls have been on time. They've been on target. Like, I don't know, man. I think we're in good shape. We are in a much better position than a lot of teams with backup quarterbacks this year. Like, much better. I mean, it's telling that the Seahawks are starting Geno Smith over Drew Lock. Like, what in the fuck? I never thought that would happen. I never thought I'd see Geno Smith ever again. Even last year when I saw him, I was like, you're still around? Now he's a starting quarterback again. It's crazy
Yeah.
how things change in the NFL, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Lamar's here to stay. And that's another thing that I failed to realize is that, yeah, it's about winning when it comes to contract, when you want to pay somebody. But somebody as electrifying as Lamar, you're going to put fans in the stands no matter if you're winning playoff games or not. If you're winning more than, if you're averaging a winning season, where you're in the hunt for the playoffs for, the season and you're competitive, it doesn't matter if you're winning or losing playoff games. I mean, for someone like that, who's that electrifying, who's going to, capture that much, media attention, fan attention, that kind of person is bringing a lot of revenue to your organization, whether they're winning or not. So that's another thing to consider when you're paying a superstar like that. Because you're making money off jersey sales, you're making money off merchandise, other merchandise, you're making money off ticket sales.
It's important
Um,
you mention ticket sales real quick because that includes away games. There are people that live outside of the state of Maryland who want to see Lamar Jackson play.
yeah,
Like I know in the state that I live, when you talk to people about why they're Ravens fans, it's because they play with Lamar Jackson on Madden and they absolutely demolish people.
yeah,
And they were like, if we had the opportunity to see this guy play in person, we would buy tickets to go see that game.
yeah, exactly.
And it's like, all right, well, so now your away game revenue is up potentially, and you get a little bump from that.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think the money kind of makes up for itself, no matter what contract you end up giving the guy. And if he ends up staying for 10 or 15 years, like we hope a lot of quarterbacks do, maybe even longer, if he changes his style of play a little bit in his later years, like yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. They've got to sign him at some point. But he specifically said, like, once the season starts, he's breaking off talks.
hmm
So if a deal is going to get done, it's got to be done within the next couple of weeks.
yeah,
And that would be that would be huge. They'd be talking about it all day on ESPN. They'd be breaking down all the little intricacies of his contract, the way they did with Kyler Murray. Hopefully, they don't find a video game clause in there. I doubt it. I'm sure he does play, but I don't think they'd put that in there. They learned from the Cardinals fucking that one up.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be the next couple of weeks. But I don't, if a deal doesn't get done, I don't really know what to make of it too. Like we've talked on this podcast about how much money he stands to make off the franchise tag and then just wait for Joe Burrow to get a contract and all these other quarterbacks and just inflate your value even more, depending on it's a risk because of how you play this season. But if he balls out and he continues winning games at the pace that he's winning them, there's no reason why he couldn't make that money.
Yeah. I mean, it's a win-win to get it done now. Um, you probably, if you're Lamar, you're probably making more money bearing no injury. That's the
Right.
other. So that's the risk. So
Yeah.
it's a higher risk but higher pay move if he doesn't get signed for Lamar specifically because he'll get franchise tagged. That's all guaranteed money at market average for the top five at the position. And then if you don't get hurt, so that's whatever 40 mil in your pocket. I don't know what the average is. And then if you do, you can do it again, and that average is just going to go up every year. So 45. I'm just throwing out numbers, assuming that no deal gets done and he gets franchise tagged 2 years in a row. That's 80 to 90 mil guaranteed in 2 years potentially, if he doesn't get a contract done. But it's high risk because if he gets injured, then all that goes out the window. And it's obviously as a team you want to get the contract done sooner because it saves you a little bit of money,
Yeah.
and you also get to spread out that cap hit over however long the contract details are.
Right.
Even further past the detail. I don't know how it all works, but they get to spread that stuff out. And then you have a happy quarterback who can just focus on winning, and you have somebody that's going to bring people into the stands for 4 or 5 years, guaranteed. You have that,
And somebody that the teammates love too. They love
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a great. I mean, the organization loves him, man. He's a great guy, great teammate, great role model. He's a all around great dude. Um, so it's definitely beneficial to keep him here long term, and I think he wants to get that. But I guess obviously he just wants more money than what they're offering, and we'll
He's
see.
earned it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anything that he asks, I think they should just hand it to him. I like that we're a pro Lamar Jackson podcast too. I've seen a lot of negativity around this guy. Like,
dude.
oh, well, people should look into how much they could get for him on the market. And it's like, who are you going to sell it to? The guys who 4 years ago were convinced that he couldn't do shit and that he should be play as a wide receiver. You want to sell him? You want to get shortchanged on a wide receiver deal instead of just keeping the guy that has been loyal to you and gave you an MVP season. It's just very strange. I've seen a lot of Lamar hate out there, and it's like, who are the trade partners for him? Like,
Oh,
would they keep
anybody?
him
What
as
do you
a
mean?
quarterback?
You don't think anybody would want him? I think. I
No, no,
think
no, no,
there
no.
are.
What I'm saying
I
is
think
they
there are
would
28 teams that would want Lamar Jackson.
100%. But these are also the same executives and GMs who passed on him,
Sure.
4 or 5 years ago. And it's like, all right, well, you're doing business with those same people. So it just makes me wonder, like, how much you think you're actually going to get back for a guy that, these GMs and execs didn't really value when he was coming out in the draft.